welcome to our Monday night show. Tonight we're going to be talking about sex after menopause, and this can even pertain to some of you girls that are even right in that perimenopausal stage. So make sure you stick around. We have a really great topic tonight. For those who have been coming to see my show, you guys all know me. I am Lori. But for the new people coming on, my name is Lori Falkware. I'm part of Women's Health on the Go, where I'm a women's health nurse practitioner for, oh my gosh, almost 20 years now. And I do video consultations with women. I talk to them about whatever their women's health issues are. We talk about conventional and natural, holistic ways of taking care of their body. So that's what I do, and I have a show here every Monday night. And tonight, we're talking about sex after menopause. This is going to be a really great show. I ask everybody who knows me, I love engagement. I love it when you're saying hello to me. If I say to you, is things making sense? Say yes or say no, because if it's not making sense, there's no sense in me doing this at all. So if there is something that you're not sure of, please make sure you comment below or just say, what the heck did you just say, Lori? I have no idea what's going on. So make sure that you let me know, because that's the only way I know that you guys understand what I'm saying and that I'm doing my job right. So make sure, say hello, say yes, say no, thumbs up, hearts, all that kind of fun stuff, just so I know that I'm doing good. And if you are on here too, share it, tag a friend if you think a friend of yours would really like to watch this show. So make sure you do that as well, okay? All right, so who's ready to talk about sex after menopause? Woohoo! All right, so tonight what we're going to do is I'm first just going to talk a little bit about what happens in a couple of hormones in our bodies. I'm not going to go too deep in this because that can be a whole show in itself, but I just want to talk about a couple of hormones and what goes on in our body, just so you got a little bit of sense of what's going on. And then we're going to talk about how to handle this situation. What are we going to do so that we can start having fabulous sex? All right, so again, make sure that you let me know that I'm making sense. As I do with all of my shows in the beginning, I always have to put this medical disclaimer out. So all material provided in this video is provided for informational and educational purposes only. It is not intended to substitute or replace the advice of your healthcare provider. It's not meant to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any kind of diseases. And also, I am going to be talking about some herbal medicine and also about some essential oils. Just always remember that no statements in this video have been evaluated by the FDA, and we are not making any medical claims. The International Federation of Aromatherapists does not recommend the internal use of essential oils unless you're under the care of a healthcare provider who is educational and knowledgeable aromatherapy / essential oils. And if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, make sure that you reach out to your healthcare provider before you start doing anything. Okay? So let's get started. Okay. So when it comes to problems with sex, women can experience it in kind of different ways, especially when we're going to be talking about that postmenopausal phase, right? Some women could have, because of that lack of, we're going to talk about little hormones, but one of the things is estrogen. Because we have that lack of estrogen, we can get some vaginal dryness, okay? Estrogen really helps with the vaginal wall linings. It helps keep it moist. It keeps it elastic. When you have a lack of estrogen, the skin becomes more more taut. Where when you have estrogen, your vagina is able to expand. And if you just think about it, women who have babies, their vagina expands when that baby comes out. So, but that estrogen helps the vagina to kind of do that. And when you have that lack of estrogen, you're not going to be having a baby coming out of there. It's going to be a very difficult situation. So you get sometimes vaginal dryness. The tissue and the walls becomes what we call more friable. It becomes a lot thinner, and it's a little bit more irritating. So some women who are going through menopause, everything else is kind of working, but then because they have vaginal dryness, they're like, whoa, I can't, it's too painful, it's too discomforting. So that is one way that it can affect. Also, your sex drive can be affected. Now, it's twofold, right? So some women don't have any problems with vaginal dryness or something like that, and they just get that lack of sex drive. They just are like, I don't care. Do I need it? Do I not need it? I don't know. I don't really need it anymore, okay? But then sometimes if women have that vaginal dryness, their sex drive is going to be out the door because, they're going to be thinking, oh my God, the thought of having sex right now is totally not appetizing because of the fact that it hurts. It's very discomforting. So you also have that. And then there are the women who, vagina's working okay, the sex drive's okay, but they're going and they're going and they're going and they're going. They can't seem to get to the end of the finish line. They just can't seem to have an orgasm. So there's a couple of different things that obviously can, as I mentioned here, that can happen, okay? And many factors can affect that as well, including menopause. So, of course, the hormones, which we're going to go a little bit into in a couple of seconds, but then you have life, okay? Stress can affect that. Your work can affect that. Family can affect it. Internal, psychological factors that are going on. Suppose you had some sexual trauma earlier in life. That can affect, and then it's going to even kind of be maybe a little bit, worse when you're going through menopause. Or even let's say that you have a partner and your partner cheated on you, and you're even though you're back together, you're still having that psychological kind of concept inside your head, and then you're also having the lack of estrogen, which is kind of snowballing the effect. You can have medical conditions because as we get younger, ladies, unfortunately, we can have medical issues such as diabetes. Diabetes can definitely affect our sex drive. Certain medications. Now, there's too long for me to list them, but I know some blood pressure medications can affect your sex drive. So there's lots of different medications. There's some antidepressant medications that can also affect your sex drive. So depending on what medications you're taking, then there's just your lifestyle. If you're doing sometimes drugs, drinking a lot of alcohol, I don't know if anybody out there has had sex when they've had a few, but sometimes it helps a little bit if you have one drink just to kind of relax you. But if you keep drinking, that could be that could be a little difficult. And then, age, which for us girls is that menopause. Now, I want to make sure that as I'm talking about this kind of stuff, there is also what I want to say that this stuff can also help in that perimenopausal phase. And what is that? That is the time prior to menopause. Menopause is diagnosed when you have not had a period for at least a year. When we're going through that transition of menopause, right? You can say, oh, I haven't had a period in 6 months and darn it, it came back again. Well, you're not in menopause. You're still in that perimenopausal phase. When we think of the technical diagnosis in the medical field, it's when you don't have a period for at least a year. And that perimenopausal phase, which can be up to 10 years prior to the moment you go through menopause, a lot of women can experience some kind of, they could be getting their period every month and all of a sudden now they're getting hot flashes. They can get their period every month and now all of a sudden they're having vaginal dryness. They can get their period every month and there's now having that lack of sex drive because the hormones are kind of starting to get less. And I'm gonna show you some slides about what happens with these hormones over our beautiful lives. So as that's happening, then that whole sex drive, a whole kind of desire is starting to dwindled that down a little bit. So let me know if that is making sense. Give me a yes, give me a no. Definitely let me know how am I doing so far, everybody, okay? And another thing that's, I think, really important to realize is that, you know, I tried to find this this photo. You know how like sometimes there's a joke and it's just a picture. And for us women, we are beautiful beings, but we're very, very complicated when it comes to sexual relations. There is this great, and I saw this so many years ago, and I tried looking all over for it. I couldn't. So it's a big picture, and on one side there's one knob, and then there's on the other side there's like 50 knobs, and the one knob is a guy, and the 50 knobs is a girl, right? Because there's so many factors that actually go into us when we're having sex. I mean, unfortunately, a guy can, you know, look at a naked girl and go, okay, I'm ready to go. Where for us, it's so much more of, there's so many other more factors. Like we need foreplay, we need the romance, we need to go through all these kind of steps in order to, you know, achieve climax. You know, for guys, it's a lot easier. Sometimes when they get older, it's not as easy for them, but for the most part, you know, it's a lot easier for them. So hopefully that kind of makes sense as well. All right. So let's just talk, I'm just going to talk about 3 hormones. There's lots of stuff that's going on in our body, but these are the 3 core hormones that when we talk about a sex drive, these are the ones that we really kind of focus on, I guess the word is, okay? Now, first is testosterone. Now, a lot of us know that men have testosterone, right? A lot of the times, you know, even men get decreased amount of testosterone, but their testosterone levels are way more than us girls. But we do have testosterone. And testosterone definitely, now I'm going to show you a slide. Now this is, I just think that this is, I think the female body is one of the most amazing things. Every month, there are so many things that your body is doing that you don't realize to get you pregnant. Your body wants to get pregnant, whether you like it or not. Your body is every month doing it. And especially during ovulation, I'm not going to go too much in it, but I'm going to just show you one slide because I just think that this is cool stuff, man. Our bodies are amazing. Hi Danielle, how are you? I'm glad that you're here. We're talking about sex after menopause. Woohoo! Okay, so this, I'm going to show you a slide, and I'm just going to show you this. I know that we're talking about menopause, but this is about the hormones during your cycle. And we don't realize how much our body is, all the stuff that's going on in our body, and also how your body just wants to get pregnant no matter what. So we're talking a little bit about testosterone. And with testosterone, it's going to slowly decline. But I just want to show you really, really quick this cool thing when it comes to prior to menopause, okay? I just want you to look at this really, really cool slide. That bottom one, if you can see, it's kind of yellow, is testosterone. Now that line that's going up the middle of this graph is actually when you're ovulating, okay? Now, how cool is it that your body, one of the many things that it's doing is your testosterone level is actually increasing, actually to get you going and getting you want to have sex so that you get pregnant. How cool is that? I don't know. I just love the female body. I think it's the most amazing thing in the world. Okay, so what is happening is that we have testosterone, we have estrogen, and we have progesterone. Those are 3 hormones that are really important when it comes to our sex drive. Now, testosterone is what we call a sex hormone, and it's also in both of us, right? Men have more testosterone than we do, but we do have it. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is during, I'm going to show you another slide, and it's going to just show you, you can just see right now how your testosterone level is elevated, and see how it just slowly keeps going down, down, and down, okay? Now that's one thing that's going on, okay? And then you have, I'm going to go back to something else with testosterone, which is kind of cool for some people after menopause, but not cool for everybody because it doesn't happen to everybody. But then we have progesterone and estrogen and progesterone. And unfortunately here, this is a slide of estrogen and progesterone in our bodies. I mean, look at, I mean, it drastically goes down, okay? It goes so down and so low. And, you know, these are the hormones that are really giving us our sex drive. And unfortunately, as we get older, they just plummet right to the ground, which is one of the main reasons why sex after menopause is not the easiest thing. Now, the one thing to know, and this doesn't happen with everybody, but anybody that this does happen to, they're very lucky girls. So sometimes as the body starts producing less estrogen, for some women in menopause, they actually increase their testosterone. How lucky are those girls? Okay, it doesn't happen to all of us, but it is a reverse kind of effect. And for some women, that estrogen actually goes up, which is, you know, for those girls, they're pretty darn lucky, right? All right, so basically, again, I'm not going to go too much into the hormones because that could be like a whole story about, you know, what happens through our body. But basically, the three things that are happening is that we're losing testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. And they really, all three of them kind of help us with our sex drive, okay? So what are we going to do about that? That is the key to this whole thing, right? So you know me, I like to make sure that I go over conventional, and then I'm also going to go into natural and other lifestyle things that you can do, because I think that it's important that we all understand everything, okay? So when it comes to conventional, and there is hormone replacement therapy. Now, hormone replacement therapy is a very, I don't know what the word is it a touchy subject? You know, because there's so much debate when it comes to hormone replacement therapy because of the fact of, you know, the research says, well, it helps, and then the research says it doesn't help with, you know, and then it, you know, it increases your risk of breast cancer, and then there's always the cardiac disease, you know, and then it's so debatable of what actually, does it help, does it not help? I mean, the thing with hormone replacement therapy, the one thing that's really important is if you're going to go on hormone replacement therapy, that you typically go on it very early in your transition. Most of the research that shows that it has an adverse effect is one, if you're taking it for long term, or two, let's just suppose I go through menopause today, but I start taking hormone replacement therapy like 15 years from now, okay? Those are where the increased risks happen. That being said, I have to tell you that this is all a very individual choice, okay? I believe that everyone has the right to choose what they want to do. I've had patients who have been through menopause for like 15 years. And for some reason, now all of a sudden they're experiencing all these kind of crazy things. And, you know, everything else medically is fine. And they really, truly believe, like, if I just get a little bit of hormones, I'm going to be okay. And you know what? I go over them. I'm like, listen, these are the risks, these are the benefits. Like, you know, this is your life. This is, you know, what do you want to do? And I have actually put some women on hormone replacement therapy, a very, very low dose, and typically they're the happiest girls in the world. And even though they know that there's a risk because they started so much later after they, you know, went through actual initial menopause, they're really a lot happier. And it's almost, you got to weigh the risk versus the benefits here of what you want and what you feel comfortable with. I typically, if you're going to start anybody off on it on a very low dose, do women who take hormone replacement therapy have experienced, like, you know, all those symptoms go away, their sex life is happy-go-lucky and everything? Absolutely. You know, there are different ways to take hormone replacement therapy. There is pills. If someone is just having vaginal dryness, I typically will just give them either, depending on their insurance, unfortunately, because insurance companies drive me crazy, but you can either do what's called VagiFem, which is a little tablet that's inserted inside the vagina, versus actually doing like a cream, which can be a little bit more messy, but it's been around a lot longer, so most insurance companies will cover the estrogen. Now, The very important thing to know is that if you still have your uterus, right, depending on, okay, if you're going to take oral hormone replacement therapy and you still have a uterus, you need to have progesterone. Because if you just take estrogen on its own, you have a risk of developing what we call endometrial hyperplasia, which is an overgrowth of the lining in the uterus, which unfortunately can turn into, I just lost my train of thought. My goodness gracious. Oh, thank you. Endometrial cancer. Sorry, I totally just blanked out there, which can turn into endometrial cancer. So you have to have that combination of the two hormones. Now, if you're doing local estrogen cream, such as the Vagifem, which is such a low dose, it's 10 micrograms, okay, and you do it like twice a week, you don't necessarily need to have that progesterone component to it, okay? But hormone replacement therapy, a lot of people don't want to take it. I completely understand that. We are going to go into natural stuff that we can do, but it is an option. Another option is testosterone cream. I particularly don't necessarily give, I've had women who, wanted testosterone. It's not like I do it orally or an injection. It's usually a very tiny amount of cream that they use down somewhere near like their clitoral area, because it can have effects. I mean, okay, if you think about it, right, we have more estrogen in our body and men have more testosterone in their body. We look more feminine. We have more feminine kind of traits, and men with testosterone have more male traits, deep voice, facial hair, a little bit sometimes if people take testosterone, they get a little bit of more belly fat. They can get deepening of the voice. You can get facial hair. There's all these things that can happen, and that's why when it comes to women with sex drive, now it's not quote-unquote FDA approved for helping women with sex drive, but it is like we'll call an off-label use of something that we sometimes give. There's no research out there that shows that it's beneficial or it helps. For some women, it works for them. I've had like maybe 2 women that actually have wanted it. I've given it to them. I don't know how much it's kind of really, helped them, but that is an option, okay? And it also can raise your cholesterol level as well. So and there's like with cardiac disease and stuff like that. So you just got to be careful with testosterone. But if you're using a very little minute amount of cream down in your hoo-ha area, you're going to probably be okay. All right, so there is a prescription drug for women. It's called Addy. I don't know, it's ADDY. ADDYI. It is technically not FDA approved for women in menopause, but again, there is data coming out that it does show to be effective with women who have menopause, but it's not FDA approved. It's just there's lots of things that are quote unquote not FDA approved, but people use them off-label use and they work. Now the thing with, I'm just going to call it Addy, not quite sure if that's right, but basically it's for people who have hypoactive sexual desire. They have a low sex drive, okay? And the thing with this medication, which I'm not quite sure if anybody would want to take this medication, because it can cause dizziness, it can cause a sudden drop in your blood pressure, it can cause fainting, loss of consciousness. I mean, you cannot absolutely 100% drink alcohol at all while you're taking this medication. It can cause liver problems. I mean, so this is like the conventional kind of, it's almost like, for me, it's like I watch these commercials about pharmaceuticals and I'm like, why would anybody want to take that drug? Did you hear the side effects to that medication? But there is a medication that quote unquote is out there, but I don't feel like it's the greatest in the world. It it has all of these side effects. You can't drink alcohol. So it's not even like you can go, oh, honey, hey, let's go out for a drink and then come home because I had my Addy and I'm all like frisky. So let's go, have a little drink and go home. You can't even do that. Not at all. Absolutely not at all. And only certain providers can prescribe it. You have to do this whole course and this whole kind of crazy stuff. Okay. So that's conventional stuff. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Let me see if anybody... All right, Danielle's got a question here. Okay, will hormone therapy increase your risk of osteoporosis? Okay. Oh, wait, she's got two questions. Hold on, I gotta go. Okay, so with hormone replacement therapy, so when you go through menopause, that lack of estrogen actually puts you at a higher risk of having osteoporosis because estrogen helps keep your bones strong. So hormone therapy is not going to increase your risk of osteoporosis. If you took it, it would help prevent it, but I wouldn't recommend you taking hormone replacement therapy just to prevent osteoporosis. Hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if that does. I mean, there are other things that you can do to prevent for osteoporosis. When some women are, they go for their bone density test and they find that they have, osteopenia, which is right before actual osteoporosis. There are medications. There's like what's called Fosamax, but some providers will put people on estrogen replacement therapy and some people will put them on like this Fosamax. So it's not going to increase your risk of getting osteoporosis. It's actually going to kind of help. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. And then, hi Tiffany, I see that you joined. Hope all is well down south. Okay, oops, I just lost it. Okay, decreased testosterone, but increasing estrogen. Yes, it's, okay, so the question is, and I think that I'm understanding the question, and you're almost like saying, so I don't get it, so I'm having a decrease of estrogen, so how is it that I can have an increase in testosterone? Amazingly, it's almost like a rebound effect. If you think about, so I'm trying to think of the easiest way for me to kind of explain this. So, okay, let's think of guys. Okay, if you think about guys and you think about girls, okay? Now, guys have very high testosterone levels, and then men have estrogen as well, but their levels are very low, okay? And then you have women who have high estrogen and low testosterone. Now, if you were to take, I'm just trying to think of the way I can do this. Okay, suppose I'm a girl, okay, and I start taking testosterone, okay? Taking the testosterone is going to decrease my estrogen and it's going to increase my testosterone, okay? So, and the same effect for if you give a man with testosterone, you give him estrogen, if you give them a higher level of estrogen, that testosterone is going to come down. It's just a kind of rebound effect of that happens kind of in our body. I don't know if that, hopefully that makes sense. Danielle, let me know if that makes sense. So for some women, if you're lucky enough, right, that when you're going through menopause, that decrease in estrogen is going to actually increase your testosterone a little bit. Now, it might not enough for you to, not to help you in the bedroom department, but it is something that can happen. Hopefully, I'm just trying to explain it in like the kind of easiest way that I can think. Danielle, let me know if that makes sense, okay? Okay, Nancy says hold on. Okay, Nancy says if you're on HRT and stopped for a while, can you go back on it? This is where I always, can you do it? Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Yes, you can do it. You have to understand, I'm not quite sure, like, Nancy, if you're talking about, oh, I went off of it for a couple months, or we say, I was taking it for 3 years, and then I haven't been taking it for 10 years, and now I'm starting to take it again. Even if remember what I was saying about, if you the longer you wait, suppose I'm gone through menopause today and I wait a long time and you start hormone replacement therapy later, that's where some of the higher increased risks happen. So it's the same kind of concept. If you were taking hormone replacement therapy for a couple of years and then you like took 10, 12, 13 years off, you're starting it later. So typically when we put people on hormone replacement therapy and we start it right when, right around the time when they're going through menopause, we don't even want them on there longer for 5 years, because the longer they're on it, the more likely they're going to have those risk factors. Now, do women start taking, their hormone replacement therapy, and do they take it for many years and nothing happened to them? Absolutely. I mean, it happens. For some women, they don't want to go off of it. They can't go off of it, because if they go off of it, all of the symptoms just come flooding back. So do women take it long term? Yes. Are there people who take it long term and have, increased breast cancer, all of these kind of things? Yes, it happens. But then there's people who they take it and nothing happens at all. Hopefully that answered your question. Danielle, is that only I'm assuming you're saying, is that only determined with blood work, your hormones? Yeah, that would be, that's the only way you're going to find out your estrogen and your testosterone levels, or your FSH, which is there's FSH and LH, those are other indicators, those are other hormones that occur in the body. But if you wanted to get your hormone levels, that would be the only way to do it. There may be some kind of holistic people that you can do like a swab in the mouth and do that. I don't want to quote myself, because I know that there's some that they do swabs for certain things. I'm not quite sure if they can do hormones, but yes, blood work is a way to find out your hormone levels. All right, so we're going to go into the next phase. I hope that I'm making sense with everybody. Please let me know if I'm making sense. Sometimes I've got the medical jargon going on in my head, and I want to just make sure that I get it out to you guys so that you can understand my going on. Okay. Now, there are some basic things that we can do. Now, a lot of the times when I am talking about probably every subject I talk about, there's just basic lifestyle things that we can do for overall health. And that is the same when it comes to sexual health, okay? One is just exercising. Exercising is really important for everything. And also exercise, it keeps the blood flowing throughout our whole body. It's good stuff. Get the blood flowing down there as well, okay? Another thing to do is, there's a saying, a phrase, you need to use it or you're gonna lose it. Women who don't stop having sex and just keep going, you're gonna stimulate blood flow to the area. You're gonna keep her nice and pretty and going. So a lot of people say, just keep having sex. Now, I know that there may be some factors that, like if you're having vaginal dryness, which we can talk about things that you can do for that. But if you don't use it, you're gonna lose it. So that's another thing. Just keep trying to keep having sex. And then there's lots of things that I think that that we can do. How do I phrase this? So, being sexy and feeling sexy can also help tremendously. Dressing sexy, feeling good about yourself, exercising, eating right, you're going to be healthy, you're going to feel good about yourself. These are really, I know it's very simple, basic stuff, but these are things that can really, really help, okay? Also, watching like movies like, romance movies or like fantasy movies. I mean, now they have the movie of it, like 50 Shades of Grey, or like, to me, I've talked about this before, I am like a huge Outlander fan. I love Outlander, and I'm just like, oh, Jamie, he is so good looking. Oh my goodness, he's just so good looking. So just doing those things, reading books, it's going to stimulate the mind. Remember, guys have one knob, we have 50, okay? And sometimes we have to just step outside and do all these kind of other things besides taking natural herbs and all this kind of stuff. We've got to do a whole lifestyle thing in order to keep us feeling sexy and feeling desirable and having that want and desire to have sex. And I know it may seem silly, the things that I'm kind of saying, but they work. When I talk to people and I, talk to them about what's going on here, and I say, all right, well, let's just get down to basics. How you feeling about yourself? Sometimes when we're getting older, we put on a little pounds, things are not as easy, we're stressed, this is going on, that's going on, oh, I've got 3 kids, and, we never have time for date night, but, my sex drive is like down. It's like, we've got to like go in deep and kind of go into our lives and stuff and figure out, okay, what's going on with my life? What can I do? And even if it is, dressing up and going out on date night, or just even stimulating your mind to reading, fantasy, romance novels, movies and stuff like that. These are really simple things, but they really do help. We as women, remember, 50 knobs, 1 knob. We've got to do all these kind of things to keep the juices flowing in our body, okay? Yes, we're having this decreased estrogen and stuff like that, but if we do all these other kind of things, still try to have sex, exercise, eat right, feel sexy, you will feel the benefits of it. Hopefully I'm making sense with that. I know it's very, very basic stuff, but it's stuff that you need to do. Even if I tell you to take this herb, take that herb, do this, do that, it comes down to us, inside of us as well, and all of these other factors. So I know they may seem silly, but think about them. Maybe try to do a couple of them if you can. Okay. All right. So this one, the first thing that I'm going to tell you that you can do is one of my faves. I'm actually going to post a link. This is what I decided to do. Some of the stuff that I'm going to recommend, I'm going to put the link in there so you can see exactly where we're going to go with it. Okay, so there's a thing called Herbal Infusions. Herbal Infusions are basically very, 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 very strong teas, okay? You take like an ounce of herb in a big jar of water. I usually do like a mason jar. At nighttime, I put my herb into the glass. I pour the boiling water. I cover it and I leave it overnight, and it steeps for like 8 hours. Okay, and when it steeps for 8 hours, you're drawing out all the medicinal properties to it. Okay, one of the best herbal infusions to help us with anxiety, depression, and our sex life is Oat Straw. I actually have some here because hopefully you can kind of see it. Hopefully, let's see. This is Oat Straw. I love it. It's a very light tea. It doesn't look, when you brewed it for 8 hours, I mean, it looks like a light yellow, okay? So I'm going to put in my comments here a link to actual Oat Straw I'm an Amazon freak girl. That's just who I am. I love Amazon. So I'm putting the link for right now. So if you even just want to see what it is, hopefully that comes out as a link, or even if you can cut and paste it. So Oat Straw is a really, 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 oh, it does. Ooh, pops up even a little back. That is the brand I use. Frontier is great. It's organic. You get a pound bag, and it's huge, and it can last you quite some time. I try to do different ones throughout the week and stuff like that. But oat straw is known to help with sexual desire, sexual appetite. It increases your testosterone. It is a very light. It's a very light. If you don't have, even if you don't like tea, it's so light you probably won't. It's almost like a slightly flavored water. I don't know. I mean, it's not very strong. It's very light. It's very drinkable. And in the morning when you wake up, I actually have I'm going to write down. I'm going to put a link also in the top of I have a video that I talk about how to do herbal infusions. So I will do that at the end of the show to show you. It's so easy to do. And oat straw is awesome. It's very, very, very good. Okay. Now, we're going to talk about like some herbs that you can use. There's lots. There's a good handful. Ginkgo. Ginkgo is a really, really great. It's great for lubrication, for sexual desire. It increases the blood flow down there. And the great thing with ginkgo is that you can actually do, if you get like a tincture form of it, you can actually do it like an hour before you're going to get frisky, and it's going to help you for that sexual encounter. Okay. Now, one thing that I really want to, I forgot to talk about is herbs have to be honored and respected. If you are taking any medication, it is the utmost important that you make sure that there is no interaction with any of these herbs. Pharmaceuticals came from herbs, okay? If you've seen my shows before, you know I do this all the time, and I will do this probably every show. Here you have an herb, you have a plant, okay? It has a lot of phytochemicals within it, and they all work together when you take an herb for it to get processed in your body naturally and beautifully, okay? Pharmaceuticals, some scientist came around and said, "Oh, look at this phytochemical, and oh, it does this. Okay, let's extract it and let's make it into a pill," right? And so you're only taking that one chemical component of that from there, and you're putting in a pill. That's why when you watch a commercial, there's like 100 side effects, because your herbal medicine has all of these phytochemicals in there that are helping your body to process properly, and the pharmaceutical does not. So the point being is that just like drugs interact with other drugs, if you're taking this drug and for some reason it interacts with something that's in here, it's going to be no bueno, okay? So honor and respect them. So if you want to do any herbs, I think that's fine. Just make sure that you speak to someone, like I have, knowledge. I became an herbal medicine educator and all that kind of stuff. So just make sure that you speak to someone if you're taking medications or if you have a medical condition, okay? Just want to put that out there, okay? But ginkgo is very, very good. It helps right before lubrication, sexual desire. It increases your blood flow. It's very, very good. Maca is another herb that's really good. A lot of, especially the younger folks, know maca. Maca is an herb that people take when they have like PCOS, when they're trying to get pregnant. It's like a very good fertility herb, but it also increases your sexual desire and your performance. That's another great herb. Yohimbe, I don't know, sometimes these words I can't even pronounce very well, but yohimbe is another herb. It's going to increase your stamina. It's going to increase your sexual desire. It's going to heighten your sensations. This is really good. Now, way in the beginning, I kind of talked about women experience sexual problems differently. Sometimes it's just the vaginal dryness that kind of gets in the way. There's this sexual desire of that, just they don't want to have sex anymore. And then there's those women who, they get it on, but they keep going and going, and they just can't get to the end of the marathon. They just can't climax. Well, this is, this yohimbe is going to increase your heighten of your sensations. So when you're having sex and you're trying to get there, it's going to heighten that sensation so you can get there. Woohoo! How often is that? How awesome is that? How often? Well, how often if you want. Damania is another one, which you can do with tea or tincture. It's a great aphrodisiac. And then there's tribulus is another herb that increases your libido and your performance, another great herb. And if you want to make sure, if you want to talk about these things further, please make sure that you reach out to me. I'm more than happy to discuss these. And another one that I'm going to talk about is not legal in all states. So I'm just going to put that, so if it is legal in your state or whatever it is that you do in your state, another great herb is marijuana. There is actually just research. I just read this today. I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for the show. So there's actually research that was done, and people who, now it was funny because they actually said, well, we can't promise you that you'll have sex more if you do, if you smoke marijuana, but people who smoke or take marijuana and however it is that they do have more sex. They have more pleasurable sex. So that's one thing. And then, it's all about now we talked about the 1 knob and the 50 knobs. A lot of times, sometimes for us women, it's, you still have 150 things going on in your mind, and you're not thinking about the item that's in front of you and what's happening at hand, right? You're like having sex and you're like, okay, I got to go to the grocery store tomorrow. I've got to drop the kids off. I have to be at work at 1 o'clock. So let me think, like this happens. I mean, it's hard for us girls to focus on what is going on in front of us sometimes. Well, also, not only will the research shows that you tend to have more sex when you're with marijuana, but it is shown to help relax and people to enjoy sexual relations better. So that is one thing. And the only way that I can say is that, if it's legal in your state, wink, wink, okay, go for it. Anybody else? I'm not going to say anything else. Okay, so also, even if another thing, because, you think marijuana can be very relaxing, it just focuses you a little bit more. Now, alcohol, if you have one drink, okay, it may have, because it's going to help you relax you, it's going to help you focus, but if you have 5 drinks, the opposite is going to probably happen. So, if you want to even just have 1 alcoholic drink, that may help as well. Okay, so there are some other herbal supplements and stuff that are on the market. Now, I know I talked about like herbs like on a single kind of level. These are supplements that people have kind of mixed some of those things with a little other things to help us with our sex drive. Now, I know that I'm going to mess up this name. Arginine Max. I don't know. I'm going to put a link for this one as well. This is it's an oral supplement. It contains ginkgo, ginseng, L-arginine, and some vitamins. There was actually a study done on this this supplement. I'm going to put the link. Let's see, copy, paste. All right, there was a study that was actually done with the National Cancer Institute of female cancer survivors, and I'm not saying that people who go through chemo can have their sexual completely affected, and they actually show the National Cancer Institute, which I think is pretty cool because it's not like a pharmaceutical or anything, but they did some research on female cancer survivors, and it showed significant improvement in their sexual desire and sexual outcomes. So I think that it's pretty cool. So that's that, and then there's another one called Zestra. Zestra is it's plant-based botanicals. It is an actual oil extract. And what you actually do with this, it heightens up your sensation. So if this, I think, would be really good for people who can have sex, but they just can't get to the end of the marathon. I think this, because it heightens up your your sensation. It's actually an oil botanical, so it's applied topically, and you can actually apply it to the clitoris area or the labia. And apparently, now it's not because I'm saying apparently because I haven't personally used it, but within minutes, okay, apparently it heightens your sensitivity to touch and everything down there. It improves your pleasure sensation. It's sexually, apparently women have a lot of sexual pleasure from it, and it can take sometimes 3 to 5 minutes, but within like a couple, it doesn't seem like it takes that long, and it can last up to 45 minutes. How about that? I mean, hey, the way I see it is if you're having sex for 45 minutes or more, kudos to you, right? All right, so I'm going to put a link to that one as well in the comments as well. So if you're interested, I always say I'm giving you the information. Always do your own research. Make sure that it's the right product for you. Hopefully that all makes sense. Am I making sense, everybody, so far? I hope that I am. Give me a thumbs up. Give me something. Let me know that I'm doing okay here. Okay, so there's another cream. It's called Vigorel Cream. It's like a lubricant. It's another one that I can't speak anymore tonight. I don't know why, so I'm so sorry. But it enhances the sensation for women. It helps address, because it's a lubrication, it also addresses vaginal dryness. It increases the blood flow to the area, making the tissue more receptive to stimulation. So this is another one and you can take this and you can put it right on the outside the clitoral area. So I'm going to put another link to that. Apparently this one will make you have a more intense orgasm. Heck, maybe I'll get some. Right? Why not, right? This is what we're talking about. Sex, girls, this is what we got to keep talking about. I think this is so important that we're having these conversations, because not everybody talks about it. Not every provider is comfortable talking about this stuff. And we need to start talking about it, because us girls, we're just as important as those guys getting the prescription for Viagra. That's all I'm saying. All right, so here is the Vigorel cream. I put a link for that as well. So those are like herbal kind of supplements, creams that you can put in that area. I gave you some herbal medicine, herbal tinctures that you can get as well. You can do them singly, but if you want to work with like an herbalist or something, for like a mixture of them, because you can mix in different herbs together to kind of heighten the whole situation. You can totally do that. Okay, now I always talk about herbs, and I kind of like essential oils as well. I don't know if you guys do, but I definitely do. So these are some essential oils that help increase your libido. Now, how do you want to use these essential oils? That's kind of up to you. You could have a diffuser of it in your room, and just spraying it around in your room. Maybe that night you want to hey, get it on with your man. He comes home, you already have the essential oils diffusing in the house or in your bedroom, or you want to, where is it? Or if you just want to do something like inhale it. I always have these inhalers. I have them everywhere. This is just like a cap kind of inhaler. And basically, I don't know if you can kind of see, there's like a little hole right there. There is I would love to take this apart, but there's actually a cotton thing in there. You just put a couple of the essential oils in there, and it stimulates your brain to help increase your libido and do stuff. And then this one, I think this has like peppermint and stuff in here too, if I'm getting a little tired when I'm working. So you can do it that way. You can make a perfume out of it. You can take some of the essential oils, kind of mix them together, put them in what we call a carrier oil. A carrier oil is something like olive oil. Fractionated coconut oil is like kind of the best one you can use. You just put the drops, you can get a little container. I was thinking if I had a container on my desk, put a little container, and you mix them up together, and then if you do like a little roll-on, you put the little perfume here, put a little right here as well, and so that you're smelling that aroma as well. So essential oils that will help are things like rose, jasmine, Ylang Ylang. I love Ylang Ylang. It's one of my favorites. Ylang Ylang, the thing with Ylang Ylang is it can increase your libido, but it also can be very relaxing. Like, sometimes when people are having problems sleeping, I say, ooh, take a little Ylang Ylang. So, hopefully it doesn't knock you too much up, but Ylang Ylang is such a beautiful floral. If you think about it, a lot of these are floral. You have rose, you have jasmine, you have Ylang Ylang, clary sage. Clary sage is not only, now, like when you talk about rose, jasmine, and Ylang Ylang, they're not like, clary sage is like a hormone regulator. It's going to help regulate your hormones. So, if we're talking about, that decrease of our hormones and stuff like that, to help balance those hormones, clary sage is a very good one. Another one is fennel. There's actually, I just thought about this one and I forgot totally about this one, which here I'm talking about essential oils, but even just using fennel. There was actually some research that was done with fennel with menopause, and I actually did a blog post about it a while back, and I don't know why I totally forgot about it, but I did. So fennel is another great, you can cook with it, you know what I mean? Put it in your food, do all that kind of stuff, and that's a great hormone regulator, and it was actually shown to help women with menopausal symptoms, which is really, really great. I love it when we can find something naturally that's going to help us. And I believe that whoever created us out there, whoever you want to call him or her, I think they gave us everything that we need and to take care of ourselves. So when we can find those things, I get really, really excited. So fennel is another one. I'm not quite sure. I don't have fennel essential oil in my house, so I don't know how it would smell. But you can definitely, if it's not the greatest kind of smell, you can also just, get it, you can do these essential oils, you can, mix them up or do whatever. You can put them like in a, dilute them into with the fractional coconut oil, and you can just rub it on your belly. You just think about it. Where do you want it to go? You want it to go down near your belly. I have a great blend that I use when I have cramps, and I just rub it on my belly, and it is amazing how essential oils get absorbed locally into that area, and they do the job. I'm still amazed with essential oils every day. I don't think that they're the only thing that we need to do. I think that all of this stuff, when you talk about herbs, essential oils, I think it's something that we have to do. Like I said in the beginning, you have to do lots of things to get, to be overall healthy, right? So when we talk about herbal medicine, when we talk about essential oils, I think these are great things to use together with exercise, sleeping right, trying to also get rid of stress, meditating, yoga. Yoga is another great thing to do for sexual health as well. There are moves that you can increase the flow to your pelvic region. If you want to think about it, like this is where we want to get the blood flowing to this pelvic region, man. This is where we want to go, okay? So even yoga is really good. We want to do everything kind of together. I think that if you want a very quick solution, then that's where pharmaceuticals come into play. And they're only going to take care of the symptom per se. They're not going to take care of overall everything. Hopefully I'm making sense. Let me know if I'm making sense. That would be really, really good. So this is something that we have to kind of do overall. Hopefully I'm making sense. I just got a couple comments, so I just want to make sure that nobody's having a question. Fiona, hi Fiona, how are you? So happy. Smells like licorice. You're right, fennel does smell like licorice. I was trying to think about the smell of it, and I couldn't really think about it. And yes, it smells exactly like licorice. Danielle, Oh, Danielle, thank you. That sounds like you're sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. To all of Danielle's friends and family, hello. This is a great, I thought it was a pretty good show. It is basic. I'm just going to the basic stuff. And we're talking about sex after menopause. And we're also, that includes even you girls that are like up to 10 years before, because we can start having these kind of symptoms up to 10 years before, okay? So make sure that you go to the beginning. There is a pre-show. Just go through that 10 minutes and then get to the show. Lots of great information. So just to kind of recap, yes, there's lots of things in our life that can cause us to have a decreased sex drive. And unfortunately, on top of all of that, we can have, when we go through menopause, we have that lack of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone that start going down. And then on top of all, life, work, family, all of these other things, it can really damage our sex life. And we can't have that. So you can do conventional treatments such as hormone replacement therapy and testosterone cream and stuff, or you can go the natural route where we kind of talked about just eating right, sleeping right, getting exercise, doing things for ourselves, making us feel sexy again, wear sexy clothes, going out, on a date night, or maybe like watching a sexy movie or reading a sexy book. Those are things that we can definitely do. And then there's all these herbal medicines that we herbs and herbal supplements we mentioned, and essential oils as well. And I think that if we use everything all together, we can have a lot of great sex. Of course, it does take the participation of our partner, so we definitely need to get them on board, which, you know what? That's what's being in a relationship. We can have so much fun when it comes to sex and just being like, all right, honey, let's start having fun. Let's do some great stuff, so we can have a great relationship, because that's what it's all about, bonding with another person. Sex is great on its own, but it's also really great to bond with another human being that we love and care about so much. So I hope that this was a good introduction to everybody. Danielle, I hope that this was a good show for you. Thank you so much for coming. If anybody has questions afterwards or anything, if you comment in the thing here, I will get the question. You can always go to the Facebook page and message me. I will get that. If you want to get show reminders, type in reminder below. You'll have to go through a text reminder. You get a little text back saying, okay, do you really want this text reminder one more? And then you'll get reminders of when we're going live every week. So if you definitely want that reminder, make sure that you put that down below. And I can't remember what next week's topic is. I think it has to do with, I think I'm doing something with fertility, our menstrual cycle, and irregularity. It seems like that's a hot topic between sex and menopause, and then we're going to the other extreme of fertility and trying to get pregnant. So I'm really excited that I'm getting these ideas from you guys as well. So if you have an idea of a topic, an issue that you're going through, and you want me to talk about it on the show, please put it down below. I'm always looking for show ideas. Or even if you have like a certain health modality, I get guests on the show. I've had acupuncturists, I've had a homeopathy, I've had massage therapists, I've had even a health coach. I even had a pelvic floor physical therapist, which she was amazing. So there's all these people. So if you think of something, a guest that you want on, or if you have a topic, please, please, please tell me. Absolutely tell me. Okay. I will see you next week. It has been so fabulous, and thank you so much. Nancy, great show. Thank you so much. You're going to Amazon next. Go for it. Again, make sure that, everything is okay for you. Do your own research. If you have any questions, comment here, or even just message us if you don't want to, if you want to have a private conversation. So thank you so much, everyone, for showing up tonight. I hope you had a great time, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye, everyone.